Well, Energy Minister Chris Bowen has been put on notice for his appalling manners, having been caught out eating a bowl of pasta during a mass service. And let's bring in radio legend Ray Hadley here right now. This is very rude conduct, Ray.
Well, look, it just goes hand in glove with his behaviour since he entered Parliament. I mean, he was elected as the youngest mayor in southwestern Sydney. He's never had a proper job. He obviously doesn't go to mass regularly. And it was a festival. And whether it was a church or just in some reflection, it could have been an area where they're having a mass. But when you walk into the mass with a bowl of gnocchi and there's a bloke up the front with his collar on back the front speaking in Italian, anyone with half a brain would think, this is either a wedding ceremony or it's a mass.
Yeah.
And whatever it may have been that he thought it wasn't, you don't sit there like we've just seen, you're scooping up the gnocchi.
So
I mean, it's just,
rude.
But it's just him.
Yeah.
He's, you know, it's what I gave, the nickname I gave him, crudely Casanova Bone, because everything he touches, including gnocchi, he stuffs up.
Yes, well, I'm glad you didn't use the swear word.
No, well, I wouldn't do that to you, Sherry. I've got too much time and respect for you, but Casanova, it's just, when I heard the story, I wasn't surprised because the bloke has the IQ of a kumquat.
I've also never seen a politician stuff up so many times. I mean, he's Teflon.
I think he must have photos of someone in a compromising position, otherwise he'd be... They hit him during the election, which is a really smart move by Anthony Albanese. He was in witness protection.
Yeah.
You couldn't find him.
Yeah.
And now they've won overwhelming majority, so all of a sudden he's out loose again. He's in the front paddock again. Okay.
And so arrogant in his social media videos that he does. I had a look at them one day, and just so patronising and arrogant. Anyway, if anyone wants to feel annoyed, you can go check out his Instagram. Now, I want to take a look at this ABC journalist who was trying to score political points over the Nationals on the ABC Insiders program, and she wrongly accused coalition MPs of leaving their constituents while they died. Have a look.
The other thing that's probably really important to regional communities is that they have a local member who's there when their electorate is, for example, flooding and people are dying. And that is what has happened this week. We've seen the Nationals doing, all of this in Canberra. I think the important thing is that when you're in opposition, it's also still your job to be a local member.
Except that wasn't true. Those MPs she was speaking about, Alison Penfold and Pat Conahan, were both in their community. They weren't in Canberra. And the ABC have now had to issue a statement, Ray, and apologise and say they got it wrong. Well,
I don't think many people knew who Claudia Long was before this faux pas, but the one thing she has to do is check with her sources, whether it was a leak from the Labor camp before her appearance with David on Insiders, I'm not quite sure. But I thought I'd just check who she is because I'd never heard of her. She's been around for 7 years, so she hasn't just graduated from Charles Sturt University yesterday. She's been around for 7 years, and it's inconceivable. And I guess it's going to be a tag that'll, the poor girl now probably feels that silly and that stupid that she believed the person that told her that. And one would have to suggest it would be a Labor operative
probably
briefing
a Labor
her.
Spin doctor, knowing she was going to be on Insiders,
briefing
giving
her,
her some lines.
Let's rip into these two people up on the north coast of New South Wales and tear them a new one, and it's completely unacceptable. Look, I said to staff outside, I was having a chat to some of the younger ones outside about it, and if this happened in commercial TV or commercial radio, you'd be for the high jump. I mean, it would be not 3 warnings. It'd be, look, we're going to put you, what you're going to do is rural news. You're not going to cover federal politics anymore because whatever source you have is so far wrong. We've been highly embarrassed. We've had to apologise to the 2 national politicians, and the program loses all credibility with you on it.
Also, if you knew you were going to make an allegation like that, you'd put questions to the MPs and then find out that actually they were there. So that whole journalism process wasn't followed. I hadn't ever heard of her before either, but then I stopped watching the ABCs. I haven't seen Insiders in a long time.
Well, one of the reasons I asked you to be with me on Monday night, or me with you more correctly, is because Monday night, people used to ring me on the radio Tuesday, said, you see what they said about your Media Watch last night? I said, listen, they have 11 or 12 producers to do 15 minutes of TV on a Monday night.
Yeah.
I do 15 hours with 2 staff. 5 days a week. So the answer to the question is they say what they like about me. I don't give a tinker's cuss because I don't care and I don't watch them. And I think based on that, there's plenty of people steering away from the ABC as well.
It's also ideological. And speaking of ideology, I mean, we're starting to see now, and there was this story in the Herald today, that these climate change activists are already saying that the floods are because of climate change.
Look, can someone out there explain to me, please? I'll cop one in 100 years, I'll cop one in 200. But if there's one person on the planet can tell me what was happening in Australia, as it was not known then, in 1525, one in 500 years? I mean, I've got a mate near Port Macquarie, he's had 2 in 4 years, 2021 and now. And the poor bloke is just like his mates around him in the rural area just north of Port. They're in all sorts of strife as the rivers meet and just converge over the top of them. But they went there knowing that from time to time there'll be floods. Unfortunately, there's been 2 in 4 years.
Yeah.
But if I read one more line about 1 in 500 years, can someone tell me who was forecasting the weather in 1525, the 16th century, to say it's 1 in 500 years? How can it be 1 in 500 years? No one was here.
It's nonsense. It's fiction.
Well, there were people here, but they didn't have the implements to measure rain and weather events.
Yeah. But we do know Dorothy McKellar's poem, of course, Land of Floods and Sweeping Plains.
Well, now you got me back to 6th class, if you want me to recite that.
I love a sunburnt country, land of sweeping plains,
of ragged mountain ranges, droughts and flooding rains.
There you go, there you go. So we know that Australia has been flood prone, and there's no evidence that this is because of climate change, but the Prime Minister was pushing this line as well. If we've got that comment, let's have a look.
We're reminded as well of the need to look at the impact and cost of climate change. Whilst Australia has always had extreme weather events, the science told us they would be more frequent and they would be more intense. And that is precisely what tragically is playing out with dealing with a cyclone off the coast of southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales just a short time ago, dealing with floods but also dealing with drought.
Honestly, I mean, what Albanese said today, I had to go at what he said earlier in the show about Israel, and now this as well. It's just fueling alarms.
He seizes upon it like clinging to a lifebuoy. Look, the debate about climate change, I used to steer clear of it because it's just one of those things. You're going to get people with different points of view and arguments, and you'll have science on one side and science on the other. But if someone can prove to me sometime in the foreseeable future that what happened on the north coast of New South Wales happened 500 years ago and it's a 1 in 500 year event, well, I'll start believing them. But no one can produce that evidence, unfortunately for them.